It all starts with one thing. And for me, that was the gym. The gym turned my life around completely. I used to be somebody who didn't really pursue their goals. I would do things, I would go through the motions, I would never take it to the furthest level as I can and take it as seriously as I wanted to. Once I started hitting the gym, I started learning a sense of discipline and motivation and consistency. I knew that hitting the gym one time would not make my life significantly better. But once I started hitting the gym consistently, day after day, like no matter what I felt or how badly I didn't want to, I knew that the results were coming and that I was already committed to this, so I might as well go. And the thing I started to realize is that this translated to almost every aspect of my life. I went from somebody that didn't take my work so seriously and I focused on it completely. I came in, I showed up every single day and I did it to the best level as I could. It made me realize that what's the point of doing something if you're not going to do it to the best extent that you can? What's the reason of doing something when you don't do it to your best possible abilities? It's like you're doing something, but you're giving it like 30% effort and you're expecting 100% results. That's just not how it works, and it's not going to translate that way. When I started realizing this, I noticed that if I did the same thing I did in the gym, and if I worked as hard as I did in the gym on other things, I knew that I could get the same results that I did. So we translate to real life now. In school, like I was always a solid student, but once I realized that like if I put my full effort into it and I worked as hard as I humanly could, I could get even better results than I had before. And I noticed that, I was taking classes that are harder than I had ever taken, but I was doing the same level, or I was even doing better than I had been doing in classes beforehand. And I realized that it's because I put this next level, next amount of energy and time and commitment to it so that I knew that I would get the best results that I wanted to. The way I think about it, it's like when I play a video game, at least, it's like, you don't want to just do things, you don't want to just get done. You want to be the best in it. You want to be the highest level. You want to have all the prestige, all the accolades that come with it. If you ever played Call of Duty, you never wanted to just be like, oh, I want to go to level 10 when there's level 55 and above. You wanted to get to the top level. Not only because, it's like the top level, but it also just shows significance. Like, I know I'm comparing it to a video game and it's like, it's a video game, but it showed that you knew what you were doing, you put the work in, you were consistent, and it gained recognition. Why can't you translate that into real life? If you put the same amount of time and effort into something like hitting the gym, you would get recognition for where you are and what you're doing. Your body would start to change and it would become better and people would start to notice. I remember when I started hitting the gym and, I started losing weight, my mom and people close to me were like, wow, I can see a difference. It looks amazing. Keep going. It looks awesome. I'm so proud. And that hit me. It was like, wow, what I'm doing is having results, and it's beneficial results for me. So why wouldn't I keep working on it as hard as I am? And I keep using the example of the gym because that's just one that's very prevalent to me in life. That's something that I've been doing now. I've been lifting consistently, I would say, for 2.5 years now. I've been lifting beforehand, but it was never to the consistency that I wanted to until really after my sophomore year of college is when I clicked, it locked in, and I was like, all right, I take this seriously and I want to pursue it and I want to be the best I can be in this sort of state. But then, I realized that if I could do it in this aspect, like the gym, why can't I do it in other things? I mentioned school, but now I'm doing things like, reading, I'm making content. I'm like, if I can work on my content, why would I just make, subpar content when I can make great content? If I can work and improve on getting to great content, I'll admit my content isn't great now, but if I can continuously work to the best level that I can, I should eventually, be making extremely appealing content. And, I have other things that I'm working on. I'm reaching out to businesses to try and start, selling them my services to them. If I create a better prompt to reach out, why wouldn't I want to do that? Why wouldn't I want to have the best possible outreach that I could? And why would I want it to be subpar? It just ruins my chances of getting them and doing what I want to do. See, the realization that you can either just do the motions or you can become great at it hit me, and it's something that truly matters to me, because if you're not trying to be great at something, what's the point of doing it? I get there's things in life that might not be as important to you. For me personally, I'm not extremely obsessed with what just came out in the music world. I have my artists that I like listening to, but it's not like I wait for their new album to drop and I'm listening to it at midnight right when it comes out. if I hear that they dropped it, like, I'd be like, oh, cool, interesting. Like, I'll give it a listen. But it's not something that, like, I don't keep up with, like, their lives. So when another example would be like celebrity lives. People keep up with celebrity lives all the time, things like TMZ and stuff like that. I don't care. I really don't care. And like, I'm not going to put effort into that because it doesn't matter to me. But something like new books that are coming out, the financial world, stock market updates, things like that, I put my effort and I try to maximize what I can gain from it to the best of my extent, because that's something that matters to me and that's something that I can translate into effort and do to better my life. At the end of the day, I still understand where people come from. I was in those shoes where I was somebody that didn't really care about putting the full effort in. What was the point? It's like, it's not like I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. It's not like it's going to be a life-changing thing. But what if it is? Like, you'll never know that it could be a life-changing thing if you don't try to make it a life-changing thing. I see people, I have friends that have posted content and they've changed their lives. Like my friend has over 100,000 followers on Instagram and he's selling his course. He's selling his fitness plan. It's doing great. I have a friend who's getting into sales and she's posting and she's, making millions of dollars on sales. And it's just crazy how, like, doing something to the full extent can get you so far in life, even if it's, just posting content, maybe if it's sales, if it's music. I have a friend who's starting DJing, that's all he's been thinking about, all he's been talking about. And, like, there's so many different things that you can pursue and put to the full effort that it doesn't matter. You could be a streamer, you could be, a painter, whatever it is. If you put it to the full effort and you try and see where that takes you, it could really change your life. And to be completely honest, that's what I'm doing with this. I'm taking this, I'm trying to put my full effort, my full conscious mind in what I can do and see where it can take me in the future. And if that is, something that can change my life. The hard part about it is the consistency and the time that it takes to master things. It's hard going from somebody that doesn't know anything and committing all your energy, focus, and time to something that you don't know if you'll be able to master with, whatever given time you're allotting for it. But it's a risk you have to take, because if you don't take risks, you'll never have a story. And some things are more risky than others. Going to the gym isn't that risky. You go to the gym, you might look like a fool for a day, a week, maybe a couple of weeks. But after a while, you get to the motions and you know what you're doing, you know how to use machines, you know what machines to use. And now it's more about just getting that progress and getting better every single day. And it's not anything that matters anymore. That's a low risk thing. Something that's high risk would be like quitting your job and starting a business. You might have worked for a business, but you've never started a business and you're trying to fully commit to it. So, that's something that's like high intensity, high risk, high reward. But what you want to do has its levels. You just got to figure out what levels are, what you're trying to do and how you can manage that. Some people can't manage as much risk. Risk tolerance is a very key principle in all of this. But what's your risk tolerance? Can you take a risk? Can you work on something? Give it full effort? Is it something that's going to drain you? Is it something that's really going to be, that effort taking, time consuming, and like a lot of learning? Or is it something that you can just do and slowly over time, gradually just get better and better at? Life is full of opportunities and options and things that you can choose to pursue and get better at. It doesn't have to be something that you enjoy now. It might be an idea that you've thought about once. It might be something that you've thought about your whole life. But if you start working on it, it builds consistency, and then you work on it as hard as you can, and that's when you become a master at it. Mastery is being able to take information, teach it to others, teach it to yourself, and be able to evolve yourself, your mind, and what you do with it. The choice is yours, but don't forget, at the end of the day, don't stop launching towards your dreams.